All right. Got a new clip. Hope you guys are doing well. This clip is about Gaza. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the Israel and Gaza conflict, or Israel-Palestine, as we should say, conflict. I got another video coming up soon that I'm working on. It's going to be a long video of just all the atrocities that's happening in Gaza right now. It's going to be a pretty cool video. It's going to be tough, and I think I'm probably not going to be able to put it on YouTube. It's probably going to be on Rumble, but and I'll shoot you guys my Rumble link. But this is Abby Martin. Abby, she's a great investigative reporter. I've been following her for years. She just came out of, or she was in Gaza, I think, in 2017, 2018, like somewhere around there. And she made a movie, Gaza Fight for Freedom. Go check that out. It's a great movie, heart-wrenching. I mean, it really, that digs deep into what it's like, the whole conflict, and how it is to be, a Palestinian, and it talks about the West Bank, and it's just very informative. But in this clip, she's, as you could probably see in the background, she's on the Joe Rogan podcast, and she talks about basically, she gives Joe like basically an overview of what it's like, her experience as she was there. I'm going to play the clip. Clip's about, 4 minutes long. I'm going to cut in and out. Try not to be too disruptive to the clip. So, and then, you guys shout out, like, comment, let me know what you think.
Where he was talking about why Israel deserves to exist and stuff. After being there, man, holy shit, I feel like people have no idea I didn't even know what the hell was going on until I went to Palestine and saw how crazy it was. But
what is it like? Give me your thoughts and your
So
experience.
Everyone mistakenly thinks that Hamas controls Palestine. That's not true at all. There's 3 different areas that were drawn up with the original partition. It's the West Bank, which is totally under military rule by Israel, and then there's the Gaza Strip, which is like the open air prison, which they bomb the shit out of like every couple of years, and Hamas controls that area. And then there's Jerusalem, which is an international city center that both Arabs and Jews live in. But the West Bank has been occupied militarily since 1967, and
mind you guys, the West Bank, Hamas is not in the West Bank. That's where you hear about all these settlers, taking land and taking people's homes and stuff. That's where the West Bank is.
It's complete martial law. There's checkpoints. All political parties are illegal. You can't, having a gun is like the least of it. You can't hold a flag. You can't belong to a political party. You literally can't do shit if you're a Palestinian. You just have to sit there and submit.
Horrible.
And even if you share a photo of someone who was like killed by an Israeli soldier, you go to jail, and you go to jail for the amount of like months that.
What?
Yeah, based on the shares and likes of the photo, they'll penalize you more and put you in prison for a little longer. I mean, I'll just tell you one story.
If you put a photo on social media, like you put
of someone who
on Facebook,
died, and they'll be like, "You're sharing a martyr and inciting people to like commit suicide, like on behalf of Palestinians. You go to jail," and they put them in jail. There's 99.7% conviction rate. Kids are tortured. Kids are in prison. It is absolutely insane. We went to the first day that we were there. We went to a funeral of some guy, some farmer who was shot by Israeli forces, and we went to the funeral. It was horrible. All the women are wailing and crying. And as we're leaving, the Israeli forces had set up a checkpoint right outside of this dude's house and started tear gassing and shooting rubber bullets like at people who were simply attending the funeral, just to punish people for attending the funeral.
Mind you guys, I have a video as well of an American journalist who was killed in Palestine, and they had the funeral in Palestine, and the IDF, the Israeli military, came and during the funeral, basically somewhat like what she was saying, and just started beating people while they're carrying the casket. I mean, some of the videos that I have, some of the things that I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. There's like another catastrophe, atrocity situation, I think. Now that I've deep dived into this, I mean, this is on an island of its own.
We went to another girl's house named Aya, who got shot in the vagina for peacefully protesting at
Shot in the vagina, guys.
some protest, and they shot 200 people that day. One guy next to her died, another guy was paralyzed. They have a policy called shoot to cripple, where they shoot guys in the dicks. Yeah. Oh, it is fucking nuts.
They spare no genitals. Like, that is insane.
Man, the West Bank is no joke. I thought that I was going to die several times. We were at this checkpoint going through Calandia, and there was this old man walking, like clearly drunk or something, and kind of like walking a little bit toward the checkpoint. They started shooting at him. Bullets are ricocheting off the thing. And you know, my partner Mike, who was an invading soldier of Iraq, was just like, we're going to die. Like, they're shooting this guy. There's bullets ricocheting. It was absolutely insane. And as we go through the checkpoint, the soldier's like, hey, stay safe out there. And I was like, yeah, you guys are arbitrarily shooting.
That's nasty
people.
work.
And
that is nasty work. And see, and it kind of gives you an eye into the mentality of the soldiers and you know, how they operate, how they think. Just a small glimpse. Nothing big, but just a little small glimpse.
The person who was driving us had just told us that a couple months prior to that, some woman, Palestinian woman, because you can't go to Jerusalem. Like, if you're Palestinian, there's like barely any Palestinians who are even allowed to go pray at the most holy site, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. You can't go to the beach. You're just completely constricted in a prison, and you can't travel. And he was just telling us that months before we went through this checkpoint, someone was going through the checkpoint because they got a permit to go into Jerusalem, which is like a lifetime golden ticket, like Willy Wonka. And they're walking, and she just got executed. And then,
What?
yeah, she just got executed, and she was bleeding out at this checkpoint, and her little brother tried to help her, and they shot him too. And they're like hiding the video of this. And
Why
this
they
is just a
shoot her?
day because they fucking hate Palestinians, and Palestinians are animals to these people. It's sick, man.
That's one thing people need to understand, is that this is racism and bigotry on a whole nother scale. They talk about these people as if they're subhuman. I mean, you thought racism in America's bad, if you think that. I mean, some of the stories and the things that you see, I mean, they treat these people I've seen there's people that treat their dogs and pets like royalty compared to how they treat these people. It's really messed up.
It's sick. It's really, really sick, Joe.
Yes, it
and
is.
I couldn't even get into Gaza. We were banned from going into this territory because I was told by the Israeli government that I was a propagandist and that I was like an enemy agent, and so I wasn't allowed to go into Gaza.
See, they knew. They knew she gonna show it all. So keep her up out of here. And matter of fact, she's not allowed back. If I remember correctly here, and I remember correctly, she's not allowed back to Israel or anything. Because after she left, obviously she made the film. Film goes big. You know what? I might show a little bit of the film. Let's see.
Gaza. So Gaza's hell, but the West Bank is under martial law, and everything's illegal, and you can't.
You know what? Let me see. You know what? Let's. This one, yeah, okay. So this film, this right here, I'm gonna just show, you know, a couple minutes of the film. This is basically the life of somebody who lives in Gaza. I think it's a family that lives in Gaza, and you know, their average everyday life. It's tough, man.
The Gaza Strip is only 25 miles long and about 5 miles wide. 2 million Palestinians live packed into this tiny space, one of the most densely populated places in the world. Half are children. Many live in refugee camps speckled throughout the besieged territory. A stunning 80% of the population relies on foreign aid. Aptly called an open-air prison, there are only 2 ways to leave the enclosed area: the Erez crossing into Israeli territory, and the Rafah crossing, which goes to Egypt. Both are completely controlled by hostile militaries.
I mean, it's a concentration camp. Like, that's what this is. It's a concentration camp. Let's be real. Open air prison. That still sounds bad, but it's a concentration camp.
What Israel calls a border is actually a heavily militarized perimeter fence comprised of barbed wire, surveillance networks, and lethal no-go zones. If you roam too close to the so-called no-go zone, which extends 300 meters out from the fence, Israeli forces have authorized themselves to shoot to kill. Thousands of unarmed Palestinians have been shot for violating this rule in 2018 alone. The same goes for Gaza's coastline. It is the only place in the world where you can't even flee by boat. as refugees elsewhere often do.
Wow.
Fishermen are restricted to only a few nautical miles from their shore. Straying past that, even by accident, you can be blown out of the water by Israeli warships. A massive seawall on the north and south, currently being extended, boxes them into their small sliver of sea. This violence is compounded by an economic blockade that imposes a chokehold of poverty on Gaza, resulting in one of the highest unemployment rates in the world, according to the World Bank. 70% of the youth are unemployed, with 52% for the general population. Like Ahmad Fraij Sabo, who lives in Bet Lahia, a small town in the northern Gaza Strip. He worked as a farmer until the Israeli blockade ran most farms out of business. He was shot in the leg.
Look at that picture, bro. Like, that's a crazy still. A donkey with rubble on the back. This is just sad, man.
At the Great March of Return protests.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys didn't hear that. He got shot in the leg at the last big protest. At the last big protest called the March of Return. The Gazanians, I think that's how you say it, Gazans, they decided to just walk up to the fence, to the barricade, to the Israelis, hands up, and just try to say, we come in, we come in peace, just to walk over. And tons of people, they just started shooting a whole bunch of people. I believe a 2-year-old was killed. It's insane.
Now unemployed, he resorts to one of the only sources of income: scavenging the destruction from Israeli bombing.
Wow. What?
مش قادرين نعلم اولادنا، مش قادرين نروح، مش قادرين نجي، الاقتصاد في البلد انهار. بلم بلاستيك، بلم حديد، بلم احجار، ويعني زي ما انا شايف بنسوي 20 شيكل، 15 شيكل، 30 شيكل، ومشي مكفيات يعني. ما فيش شغل، البلد وضعها سيء، منهار، الاقتصاد الاجتماعي تبع البلد صعب. وهذه بنتي يا سيدي لمنتي ما بتسمعش، هذه ما بتسمعش، ودناها على كل الدكاتره اللي بيقولوا لنا بنتك هذه ما بتسمعش، هذه بدها انابيب جوا في اذانيها، ومش قادر اغطي لها العجز تبع العلاج تبعها اروح. يعني شوف بلا ما اخذ انا هي عيلتي 16 نفر.
16. He's got a family of 16. So what a fam? So he has 14 children. 14 children. And I guess, some would say, hey, why have so many kids? Listen, I don't know. That was one of the first questions I had too, It is bad. It is tough. Why have so many kids? But hey, I mean, that could be just the culture too. So that's not something for us to question. I mean, in our society, in our world, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But, I'm sure they look at children completely different. But still, man, yikes.
طلع في غرفتين. وعندي الزنقو مخزق ومبهدل. في الشتاء الناس بترتاح وبتنام مطمئنة. أنا أدوب نحط جردل هان حلي هان. ما بنامش.
How could you sleep?
يعني أنا بتجي بتفتح الثلاجة عندي بتلاقيش فيها إشي. على الفاضي. أنا عايش على النواشف. على الفلفل، على الخيار، على الدقة، على الزعتر، على الزيتون، على كوباية شاي. يعني شوف فيني انا وزوجتي قاعدين بنوقد نايلون وورق عشان نوفر الطبخه ونسوي كاسه شاي يعني. بخ على النار ما قلت ما في اليد، ما فيش معي فلوس اني اجيب جره غاز، جره الغاز مبلغها 70 شيكل. الحليب برضه وضع سيء، مش قادر اجيب لها، مش قادر اكمل لها. غير بشاي بفت لها وبطعميها. ايش هذه عيشه؟
Man, this is just so, man. It's just hard to watch, man. This is hard to, Jesus Christ, man. Don't nobody deserve this, man.
This food insecurity is a purposeful effect of the blockade. In fact, Israeli officials determined the amount of food they would let into Gaza every day based on calculating the very minimum caloric intake needed to avoid malnutrition. Officials call it putting Gaza on a diet.
Yes, I've heard this.
Food scarcity is just one problem. More dangerous is the shortage of clean water.
المي عندنا مش متوفرة، عندي جيزان واحد ل 16 نفر. قسما بالله بدب القلان. ما فيش عندي خزانات استوعب
Oh man.
لا مش متوفرة. بعد مرات بنشرب بلدية ومالحة ومش ما بنطبخش منها.
You know, not too long ago, I think it was today or even yesterday, I saw videos of, you know, it rained in Gaza, and the looks on the kids' faces and, you know, people dancing up and down, the fact that it was raining, you know, and so they knew they had water again. That's how depressing it is, man. My God. You know, I thought about that today while I was at work. I thought it rained, and I go, oh, man, I got to deal with rain driving home. You know? It just, it really puts it in perspective, man.
Already unfit to live for any human being. Even the UN reports the Gaza Strip will be completely uninhabitable due to lack of water alone by 2020.
Yeah, well,
97%.
it's uninhabitable for some other reason. Now, Israel.
Of the fresh water in Gaza is toxic. The vast majority of Gaza's water desalination plants, which produce fresh water, were destroyed or damaged by Israeli bombs and cannot operate.
Oh my God.
Fixing them requires importing materials banned by the blockade. Over 25% of all diseases in Gaza are directly caused by contaminated water. This alone makes conditions dire, but the near total absence of electricity makes quality of life border on impossible.
الكهرب بأثر عليها، المية ما بتطلعش على السطوح، ما بتجيش قوية إلا إذا كان الكهرباء جاي وشغلوا المواتير. بالنسبة للكهرباء إحنا بنعاني منها، والله بنعاني منها. أكترية اليوم بتبقى قاطعة. الكهرباء بتجينا 4 ساعات، وباقي النهار بتبقى قاطعة، 20 ساعة 16 ساعة بتبقى قاطعة. ويعني لا احنا عارفين نتلج مية ولا عارفين نجيب أكل زي الناس، يعني أكترية الأكل تبعنا بيخرب ضمن قطع الكهرباء. أصلاً النفس اللي بنتنفسه هي الكهرباء. وبنخاف برضه، خطورته كبيرة، يعني لو أي ولد بلا ما خلي مسك شمعة وحرق الدار حطها في الأواعي بتنحرق. أنا بالنسبة لطموحاتي بهالحياة كثير. طموحاتي إنه يكون عندي دخل، إني أعلم أولادي وبناتي في المدارس وأعيشهم أحلى عيشة. نفسي لما أخلي يجي يوم إني أفرح فيه، بل بيجي كل يوم بيجي يوم عن يوم أسوأ من اليوم اللي بيجيه للأسف. إيش نسوي؟ هذا الحصار دمر غزة، دمرنا. والله دمرنا.
Oh my God. Dang, man, I can't do anymore. God. You know, it really humbles you watching something like that. You know, being over here in the West, and having all these luxuries. And hearing what they really go through, and then to see it. You know, it's really messed up that the occupying force of their land, Israel, gets to control their electricity, their water, their fuel intake. I mean, think about the people who actually hate you are the ones that control your resources in life. I mean, some might say, hey, we're in that now, you know, but not to that extent. You know, at least I can still go get a job, work every day, and be able to control and buy my own resources to take care of my family, you know, to protect and provide. From a father to a father, I yearn for him, man. Dang, that sucks. But yeah, no, the film is great. I mean, it's like I said, it's heart-wrenching, man. If you can stomach it, I think it's a must-watch. You really gotta watch it to really understand what they're going through. And I think a lot of people who take you know, a lot of these stances they're not educated on the subject and understand and think everything just started on October 7th, when they don't understand that a lot of these people, I mean, these people had their land taken care of. They were completely colonized. They live in a concentration camp. You know, how ironic is it that the people who claim, well, the people whose their grandfathers or grandmothers went through a Holocaust, it seems to now they're cheering on their own kind of Holocaust. I mean, I know hurt people, but damn, bro, like, how does that work? Man. So, that's going to be it for today. Like I said, I got, you know, a really good video coming. Hopefully it'll be out on Friday. You know, it's about Gaza and Palestine. It's going to be real informative. It's going to have a lot of stuff that you're not going to be able to hear on the mainstream media. You know, talking about, you know, the settlers and Israeli propaganda. You know, how the UN, how Israel's bombed like over and killed over 100 UN staff this last siege. You know, it's going to show the IDF, you know, and their just complete lies and ruckus and things that they, you know, claim they're not doing, but it's on tape, you know, on tape and visible. You know, so, yeah, it'll be a good one. Keep an eye out for that. And I hope you guys have a good day, good night. Hope to see you next time. Comment, share, yo. Peace.